What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another episode of Player Ratings as we lost 1-0 to Brighton at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yesterday. And let's get straight into it, and let's start off with Hugo Lloris. Sixes all round from us. I mean, he was fairly untested for the amount of pressure that Brighton put on us. There was a couple of routine saves in there which you expect him to make. And I don't think he could have done much with the goal either, which was a really good finish from Trossard to find the bottom corner. But yeah, fairly untested, to be honest.
Yeah, the couple of times actually Brighton went really close in the first half. It was blocks from Spurs defenders rather than saves that kept us in it. I don't remember too many actual saves he had to make, which he had to exert himself. So nothing much he could have done. So it wasn't, but just wasn't his day, was it? In terms of keeping a clean sheet.
Yeah. Let's move on to Ben Davies. Obviously, the left of the back three, fours all round from us. There was a worrying moment on the edge of the box where he lost the ball, where Emerson had to bail him out. Didn't really do much in terms of playing it out from the back. His passing was a bit off, and yeah, didn't get forward too much. Yeah, just not much in his performance yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah, and struggled to build up possession from the back as well, as much as our other defenders did. And made one really good block from Mwepu, whose rasping drive was set for the goal, I thought, until was blocked by Davies. But yeah, that moment was very, very dangerous. He was trying to play out from the back and he got caught, nearly cost us dear. And the one moment he did try and get forward, he kind of screwed up a bit and miscontrolled it, and Brighton went on the counter. But yeah, wasn't great from Davies this time. A few of his long balls as well didn't really come off.
Yeah, many of the long balls we made didn't come off, which moves us on to Christian Romero. 3 from Sim, 4 from me. It wasn't like the usual calm, composed display that we see from Christian Romero when he's on the ball. I thought he was a bit erratic a lot of the time on the ball, rushing things, passing not really going well. A lot of the passes and long punts up the field going astray. Obviously, he had his say in the goal that we conceded, getting tangled up and losing control on the ball, which ultimately led to Trossard getting in behind, and Dier's another story. He did do a few good moments with winning headers in the box and yeah, his aerial presence and winning the ball back quite a few times, but ultimately it's his poorest display for a while, to be honest.
Yeah, and I thought on the ball he didn't have the same confidence he usually does in terms of belief that he's going to make something happen. I didn't see him charge forward as much as we've seen him done in previous games. I thought defensively he was sloppy. I thought he gave the ball away in really dangerous positions a couple of times. Then the last time we did it ultimately cost us, and I don't know what he's doing in the box there, just stumbling, overrunning the ball, falling to Trossard, who went on to score. I thought it was just ultimately a poor display from Romero, which is uncharacteristic.
Yeah, which moves us on to the last of the back three, Eric Dier. 4s all round from us. I felt when we were playing out the back, he was way too slow in distributing the ball. His long balls as well, not really accurate, and he was trying to find Sonny a lot of the times, and it was just... It's like flogging a dead horse a bit, because Sonny was so heavily marked and he was trying to find him, and it wasn't even attempting to go in behind. It was just Sonny trying to get him and making it stick, and it just wasn't happening. And we were trying it time and time again, and obviously he was terrible for the goal where Trossard turned him inside out. He turns his back to the ball, which is obviously what you shouldn't be doing as a centre-back, and that let Trossard in and he scored the goal.
Yeah, what is he doing for that goal, man? He doesn't know how to defend it, does he? How can you turn your back in that situation and not go with the play? It doesn't show him inside or out. I think maybe it was just a brain fart or something. He didn't know what he was doing for that goal. His passing was off completely. Long range passing. How many times he was looking for the wing backs as well, and he was passing it too short, and they were getting intercepted time and time again. Wasn't a good display from Dier, but at least I thought a bit better than Romero, but not saying much.
Let's move on to Emerson Royale. 4s all round from us. Everyone had their reservations about Emerson coming into the game, and it's what proved, to be honest. We missed Doherty massively. His attacking threat. I mean, Emerson had little to no attacking threat whatsoever in the game. There were how many times was he just completely free on the right hand side and failed to make any sort of impact going forward. There was one moment, like I mentioned before, when Ben Davies lost the ball on the edge of the box and Emerson bailed him out. So defensively, I thought Emerson was actually all right, but it was his frailties going forward that really left us found wanting on that right-hand side.
Yeah, and he seems to lack trust from his teammates as well, because he's a few times he was actually free down the right and they decided not to find him. And that was maybe quite telling to how his teammates rate him. He didn't hit the byline whatsoever. There was no quality in the final third. There was no link-up play as well. I always feel uncomfortable when we're trying to build from the back and we give it to Emerson, and he's always liable to give it away, isn't he? And that's the trouble with him. So another poor display from him. But as you say, defensively he was decent enough. Didn't have to. They had quite a bit of covering to do as well, so he did a decent job there. But going forward, which is, I think, in this Conte system, one of the main jobs, especially when we come up against this level of opposition, found wanting massively.
Let's move over to Rodrigo at Bentancur. Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. Didn't impact the game as he has done in the past couple of weeks. Maybe that early yellow card did stifle him a little bit. It was hard for him when Brighton packed the midfield and he was basically facing a losing battle, him and Hoybies up against 3 or 4 midfielders all at the same time. And we just couldn't seem to play it around their midfield. It seemed like we were trying to bypass the midfield every time. And obviously he was the player getting bypassed. He did have an early shot in the second half, which the keeper was obviously equal to, but yeah, not much in there. And he got hooked off for Harry Winks.
Yeah, I thought early doors he was looking for some long-range through balls to Emerson and to I can't remember who, I think Son. He just didn't get them quite right. Kind of overhit them. The accuracy wasn't quite there, and then he started to get kind of outmatched in the centre. He had no space to work in. He was coming deep, and they were marking him out the game. He was completely outnumbered in the central midfield along with Hoybies, and he struggled to impact it. He got that yellow card, and I think maybe Conte was worried about maybe counter-attacks late in the game, and potential midfielder has to get maybe another yellow card, so he decided to swap him for Winks. But yeah, again, it was not maybe totally his fault, but I thought struggled to impact the game.
Let's move on to Pierre, Emel, Hoybies. 6s all round from us, and me personally, I thought he was our best player on the pitch yesterday. A bit similar to Hoybies, to Bentancur, as he was facing a losing battle coming up against a strong Brighton midfield that outnumbered us in there. But I thought he gave his best. He gave as good as he's got in terms of his challenges. He was winning the ball back a couple of times, very combative in the middle there. You could see him getting visibly frustrated on the pitch yesterday as well. But he did also provide our best moment in the game when he hit the byline and got the ball in for Reguilon. Just about missed it, but Reguilon had the open goal to aim at, and he just couldn't get to the ball. But yeah, all in all, he was probably our best player yesterday.
Yeah, I thought he was above the rest of the squad in terms of trying to drag us back into the game or gain some control of the game. And he seemed to be able to stand up to some of the other Brighton central midfielders more than the other players did. And he gave a semblance of fight in the centre, but wasn't enough ultimately. Couldn't do it by himself. And he did try and make something happen in the final third, but there wasn't enough support for him, I felt, a lot of the time. And it was difficult. It was a difficult day all round, and he tried his best, but unfortunately it wasn't enough.
Yeah, which moves us on to Sergio Reguilon. 3s all round from us, and I mean, I felt that he just kept losing the ball time and time again yesterday. It was a really bad display, and for the qualities and that he has, the pace that he has, the ability to get up and down the pitch, his attacking qualities as well that we have seen in the past, he just didn't do any of that. I mean, we were crying out for one of our wing-backs to go and take on the fullback to attack, and he just couldn't seem to do that. He was scared. It seemed like he was scared to take on his fullback, maybe lacking confidence a little bit, but he just didn't provide anything for us in that game, and obviously couldn't get to that ball that Hoybies put in on a plate for him. And, if he scores that, we go 1-0 up, and you're probably thinking, we'll let you off for the rest of the game, but it wasn't to be.
Yeah, I felt like he was anonymous throughout the game, to be honest. Defensively, I felt Lamptey didn't get forward too much, to be on that right hand side. So he didn't have too many troubles going back. But I felt going the other way. First of all, build up. He does this thing where we pass the ball into Reguilon. He always tries his first time pass with his right foot into the centre mid, and not once has it ever come off. And I don't know why he keeps trying it. It's a throwback to one of his early games. I remember in his first game under Conte when we played Everton, he was atrocious, and he kept constantly giving the ball away, not providing any threat. And he improved after that, but I feel like he might be reverting recently to those kind of performances because he just seems to be constantly giving the ball away and being loose with the ball and not providing any attacking threat as well. Not once do we find him in any situations where he's at the back post, or I guess there weren't many crosses, but he wasn't getting to the byline, putting balls in the box for the attackers, wasn't also able to, with any sort of quality, help Tottenham build from the back and get our passing moves together. And I was getting visibly frustrated with Reguilon throughout the game, and it was a poor display from him.
Let's move on to the attackers now. Heung-min Son, Sim gives him a 4, I gave him a 5. I think he was probably our attacker that looked the most dangerous on the day, but look, that's not really saying much. He did have a couple of half chances. There was that one chance where the ball gets played to him and he knocks it over the defender, and then with his other foot he takes a volley that hit the defender that didn't make his way to goal. I felt like the defence were trying to find him time and time again, but he was being marked out of the game, so it was impossible task, to be honest. Him trying to win headers against the Brighton defence wasn't happening, and he got taken off, which I thought was wrong from Conte, because he did look like our biggest threat, but look, he still didn't have a good game.
Yeah, he had a couple of moments. That one from the throw-in, there was a long throw-in to him, and he tried to get a shot off. It was blocked. There was another moment as well where one of our better attacks, Hoybies, was released down the left-hand side. He took his time to pick Son out, and I felt like Son potentially could have taken it first time in the box. He takes a touch, allows defenders to get in front of him, and ultimately his shot was blocked. Other than that, he struggled to get into the game, really. As you say, he probably had our two best chances of the game, if you can call them chances. So you got to give him a high rating for that, for getting the positions, but struggled, like the rest of our front three, really struggled to impact the game, and it was worrying how little of the ball he saw.
Yeah, let's move on to Dejan Kulasevsky. 3s all round from us, which in my personal opinion, think that's probably as poor a showing in a Spurs shirt. I mean, he just couldn't get into the game whatsoever, and he was very visibly frustrated, lashed out at Cucurella, I think it was, with his elbow. Probably should have seen red for that. And after that, I just felt he was completely stifled. I mean, I don't know if it was his frustrations or what, but he just couldn't seem to get into that game, and I failed to remember anything that he really did in that game positively going forward, and he was taken off, and probably rightly so.
Yeah, another difficult day for one of our attackers. We were saying that a lot today. Didn't as well when he was getting on the ball, was marked out of the game, really. He wasn't able to get, I can't remember any time he was able to get his foot on the ball, look to create something, look to link up with Kane and Son, who've been linking up so well over the past few weeks. Weren't able to get that link going in this game, and Kulasevsky was, as you say, getting more and more frustrated as the game wore on, taken off fairly early on, like 70 minutes or so. And you know, Lucas probably did more than him despite I wasn't a fan of Lucas's cameo. I think he probably did more than him in 20 minutes than Kulu did throughout the game.
Last of the starting 11, Harry Kane. Sim gives him a 3, I gave him a 4. He more or less stuck in his number 9 position for the majority of the game. I felt like we did need him to come back with Brighton really ruling that midfield. I thought he could have been a helping hand in that midfield, especially as we were getting no joy up front anyway. So he may as well have come back and tried to make stuff happen. On the few occasions that he did, it looked like we could make something happen, but it wasn't to be. I think he failed to get a shot off the whole game and failed to impact anything really yesterday.
Yeah, it was a difficult day for Kane. I don't know, I must have been an instruction, but he was just hanging around the centre backs the whole game, and it's like he wasn't going to leave them, and he was trying, and we was trying so hard to get service to him, but it was all long balls. There was all no progressive passes. There was no balls into feet. And that was a struggle. Like Harry Kane of recently has been happy to get the ball into feet with the defender up his back and hold them off and try and try and spread the play or make something happen. There was none of that in this game. Absolutely none of it. anything he had to go off was long balls into his chest or flick-ons, and a couple of times he made it stick, but more often than not, the quality wasn't there in terms of passes into him, and that was a big problem. With Kane going a game without any shots, I think he had one shot right at the beginning, didn't he? Which was
that failed, that drab attempt
exactly,
that went wide.
P-roller into the keeper's arms. I think right at the beginning of the game. That was it. And I thought as well, a lot of the times where the ball, he did have opportunities to get a ball into Son or bit of a link-up play. He looked a bit lethargic and it seemed off the pace, and it was very uncharacteristic of Kane as well. So for me, it was a poor game and poor display.
Lucas Moura, next up, the substitute, obviously, came on for Kulasevsky. Fours all round from us. Look, I think Kulusevski did need to come off, but me personally, I probably would have brought on Bergwijn, but we'll talk about that when we talk about Conte. He came on, added a bit of energy with his running, tried to make stuff happen, but ultimately he didn't make anything happen.
I mean, he made that one thing happen when he beat Cucurella that one time down the byline, and that was a good piece of play, but unfortunately his cross was easily cut out by Sanchez. I felt like at times passing the ball into Lucas was like firing the ball into a trampoline. I think it was just bouncing off consistently. It was really frustrating to watch, actually, when we're trying to break down Brighton. We need a bit of quality, a first touch, a bit of close control. He wasn't providing that whatsoever. And again, a bit like Emerson, whenever the ball goes into him, the move seemed to break down. But as I say, he had that one moment, which was more than a lot of our front three had. So you've got to give him a bit of credit for that, but poor cameo, in my opinion.
Agreed. Harry Winks, fours all round, came on for Bentancur with around 15 minutes to go to provide a bit of extra energy that we needed in that midfield. But I failed to remember anything that he did, to be honest, in the game yesterday.
He had that one cross right at the end, which got a little nick off the Brighton defender, went into the keeper's arms. That was it. Didn't do anything much else other than that. And yeah, I'm never a fan of Harry Winks when he comes into a two midfield. I prefer him in a three. I think when he has a bit more time on the ball,
especially when we need a goal,
a bit deeper. Yeah, so wasn't a great cameo from him either. Didn't do too much.
We're not going to rate Bergwijn because he wasn't on for that long, so we'll move on to Antonio Conte. Fours all round from us, and I think he just got it wrong yesterday. I think Potter outdid him tactically. He didn't really have an answer to anything Potter could throw at us. As the game wore on, the need for changes, I think his changes came a bit too late. I felt like the wrong changes as well. I would have brought on Bergwijn a lot earlier. I mean, I don't know what Bergwijn needs to do to get more minutes on the pitch. I mean, he's just been getting 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. Why not give him 20 minutes, see what he can do? I mean, every time he comes on, he seems to make stuff happen, Bergwijn. So I don't understand what he needs to do to get more minutes on the pitch, as opposed to Lucas Moura. He does get more minutes on the pitch and he doesn't seem to impact anything when he does come on. So I don't really get that. The Winks change, I mean, I probably wouldn't have brought on Harry Winks for Bentancur, but maybe Bentancur was carrying a little bit of a knock and he was on a yellow card as well. So I'm not going to mark him down too much on that change. But I just felt like he just had no answer to what Potter was throwing at us.
Yeah, and I think maybe after an hour of clearly it not working, no shots on target, no chances created, I thought he might have seen that and changed it earlier and trying to ask different questions of Graham Potter and Brighton. I don't think he did that enough. We didn't ask any different questions even with the subs. We kind of just did like for like and didn't change the personnel. For me, if you're not going to change the formation, then you have to change the wing backs. You have to ask more questions of Brighton out wide. Reguilon and Emerson were providing zero attacking threat throughout the game. They're refusing to take any of the Brighton defenders on, and if that's going to happen, then you need to get Sessegnon or put Kulu or Bergwijn at wing back or something like that, or go forward at the back, because it was an easy day for Brighton to defend against us, especially the wing backs. They didn't have to do any sort of thinking, or there were no different questions posed to them. If you got Sessegnon maybe at wing back, someone who's more willing and capable of taking on a man than Reguilon and Emerson, then that would have asked different questions of Brighton, and it could have opened up different spaces. It didn't happen. We didn't do that, and unfortunately, when the goal came, at the end it was deserved. And I think Conte hopefully would have learned from that, but I felt like he was a bit too passive of when managing that game. I think he should have been a bit more proactive in it.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. So that is our player ratings. Let me know in the comment section below what your ratings are, and if you agree with our ratings, let us know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.